In this exercise we're going to have a quick look at editing textures live in Affinity Photo. Live meaning you can check them out as you go along, rather than waiting for the exported image. Of course this is on the iPad, where adjustment layers can also be used to drastically change how an already applied texture behaves. And thanks to the non-destructive character of Affinity Photo filters and adjustments, you can preview these changes on the fly. So let's take this photo for example. It's a clean, straightforward shot. There's no filters, there's nothing applied. Now, the young lady's skin, you'll notice, is almost perfectly clear. Now what I'm going to do is, probably much to her dismay, roughen the skin up a little bit. I've imported a texture and applied an overlay blending mode to it. Her arms become a little overexposed in that exercise, but we'll leave it at that for now. I'd like to boost the contrast slightly. So I add a brightness and contrast adjustment layer on top using these settings. The brightness is -20, so I've lowered it a little bit. Raised the contrast to 70%, and you can see in the context toolbar at the bottom of the image there where those settings are. Now I'm using some extreme values to illustrate the demonstration more clearly, and as expected, the adjustment affected the overall picture, even though I only wanted to modify my texture. You can see the adjustment there is at the very top of the list of layers. Now you may recall that an adjustment there affects everything below that layer, so that includes the original image, and we want to change that slightly. So I drag the adjustment layer onto the texture thumbnail in the layers panel, and it creates a mask. So the brightness contrast settings only affect the texture, not the image itself. Now you can see, if you look closely at that, the spots, slightly orange spots on the young lady's skin, are much more emphasized. And in fact it's probably too much. It's not doing the young girl any service at all, but you can see what the adjustment has done. Now I can alter that, I can change that, I can move that, because it's still live, as it were. Imagine the possibilities you have in your hands once you combine textures, adjustments and filters together. Now the original layer was in overlay mode, so I've changed it to linear burn, and it's considerably darkened the image, and you can now see much larger spots of colour appearing throughout the photograph. You might call it dirt. It's a dirt or a dusty overlay, and a slightly orange dusty one at that. But even across the girl's arm now you can see the spots changing. You can experiment with that and get the exact image that you're looking for. I hope that's been of some use. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and click the like button.